All right, my friend Alan Yang is here. He's here just to talk about Andre Drummond for the next 45 minutes. You can't feel good about Andre Drummond.
My love affair with Andre Drummond was pretty brief. It's like you look at the numbers and it's like, yeah, this guy's getting 20 and 15. He's dominant. He's the best rebounder in literally the modern age. And then the results are kind of, it's just less than the sum of its parts. And it's the same thing as last year where he's clogging the lane up in the same way that, Dwight or JaVale would. So I don't know, man. I mean, is there a series where you use him maybe against Denver? But I think Gasol's probably better against Jokic than he is. So I have a lot of thoughts after last night, man. That was wild.
Yeah, we're taping this. It is noon PT. I went to the game.
Nice.
I got to see Drummond in person. I went with Chen.
Chris Chen.
Drummond, first of all, seemed overweight. Second of all, I didn't like his body. As you know, I'm the body language doctor. I didn't like his body language at all. And it was like last year where you're just kind of waiting for him to come out so the Lakers can put their best 5 guys in. And you knew he came out of the game with like 5 minutes in the third quarter, and it was just apparent we weren't going to see him again. I said to Chen, like, that's it. Say goodbye to Andre. That was it.
I think the disappointing thing, if you're a Laker fan, and I still have optimism for the season, it's all depending on LeBron and AD's health, obviously. But the disappointing thing is they closed with 4 guys from last year's team and then Wes Matthews. And it's like, well, Wes Matthews is a little bit of a downgrade from Danny Green. So now you're talking about Drummond, Schroeder, Trez, Gasol even, and they just didn't play any of them because it's like that's not their best 5. So how did the team improve? You could say those guys are regular season guys, but ultimately who's going to close your playoff games? It's Caruso and KCP and like one other guy,
Right. And Schroeder going for the new contract is an interesting wrinkle because in the fourth quarter, we were sitting on the side where their basket was, and there was like 5 minutes left, and he just had the ball a lot. And he was going to the basket, and it's like, your teammates are Anthony Davis and LeBron James. So finally, there's a timeout, and I said to Chen, I was like, we won't see Schroeder again. That was it. LeBron gave Vogel the look. He's like, get that guy out of here.
And I want to say it's one game, and it's like, look, ideally it's a long playoffs, and you see maybe Schroeder plays better in other games, but it's just like, he's not huge. He doesn't play great defense. So it's like you got this sort of, is he like a 6th man type in the playoffs? Because it's, again, like Vogel likes defensive players. And so you're going to close with Caruso and Wes and maybe Kuzma and maybe KCP. Like Schroeder, it's hard to trust him unless he's playing another small guard. And I don't know, like seeing Schroeder and Drummond kind of get played off the floor against an okay Warriors team is definitely kind of a red flag.
Yeah, and Curry was abusing him. Now, Curry's abusing everybody, but I think when Caruso came in, Caruso's underrated. He just is.
I was watching with a bunch of guys, and they hated Caruso. I'm like, dude was like 5 for 5 in the first half, and he played as good a defense as you can on Steph Curry. When Caruso and AD were doubling Steph, I was like, that's the best you can throw at Steph. He's still going to score, but it's like, that's the best big man defender in the league, in my opinion, in the playoffs. And Caruso's one of the best big guard defenders. Like, to be honest, he just doesn't make mistakes on the defensive end. Very limited offensive player in some ways, but man, on defense, LeBron loves that, right? It's like Caruso's just playing defense.
Yeah, it feels like their crunch time. LeBron and AD, obviously, Caruso, KCP, and then it's either Kuzma or Matthews, depending on who's playing well.
Yeah.
It seems like they trust Matthews in a way I don't totally understand. You would think that would be the Kuzma spot. There's something about Kuzma they don't 100% trust.
I know. I've seen Kuzma improve a lot on the defensive end this year, so that's encouraging. And he's long, right? He's like 6'9", and he's long, but there is something about if Wes Matthews can shoot 36% on threes in the playoffs, he's playable. All he needs to do is hit threes. And it's possible he's had a rough shooting season. But look, he's a pretty good defender. Like he's still a pretty good defender, even with a torn Achilles. Like, I wasn't a huge Matthews guy this year, but he may come through. He's a smart guy, just like Danny Green was. That's that kind of veteran savvy.
Do you think this team's better than last year's team? Because I went into the season and even halfway through the season, I'm like, they're definitely better. Harrell gives them this offense off the bench. They have size. Schroeder is such an improvement over like basically you don't know what you're going to get from Rondo until it's the playoffs. And even then you're just kind of hoping playoff Rondo shows up. But now watching last night, I thought they really missed Rondo. Because it's just a lot of ISO. It's a lot of slow. It's a lot of like 1 or 2 passes per possession. That's it. And Rondo, he didn't care if he shot. The ball was always moving. He was creating plays for guys. And I do think they missed that.
Remember the Rob Pelinka like celebration, like the parades people were throwing Rob Pelinka in the offseason. It's like, wow, we got Trez, we got Schroeder, we got Gasol. It was, and frankly, like I was pretty confident the team was better. You just look at those guys in a vacuum, right? It's exciting.
Yeah.
Like you look at their raw numbers. It's like, okay, Schroeder scores 18 a game, Trez scores 18 a game, or whatever it is. But then in the playoffs, you're right. Look at Rondo's numbers in the playoffs last year. And for that matter, look at Markieff Morris's numbers. Markieff Morris was hitting threes. And so do you get that kind of outlier shooting for Markieff? Do you get Rondo's playmaking? He was shooting out of his mind, and AD shot out of his mind in the bubble. So all of those things, I am a little bit concerned. But then again, I still think it comes down to, and this isn't a revelation, it's like, look, is LeBron's ankle healthy? Is AD healthy the whole time? Because those two guys, we can talk about Brooklyn in a bit, but like, those two guys, like if they're rolling, I still think they win the West. I still think they win the West. It almost doesn't matter. You can close with Caruso. I mean, whatever. If you've seen like the 3-man numbers with those three guys, it's like they're like a plus 19 on average or something. It's really wild because the defense is too good. And then on offense, you just rely on those two guys if they're healthy, which LeBron is not. So that's the big if, right? I don't know. How did he look? I'm curious about, my friends who went to the game. I didn't see him cut or explode the way he usually can. I just don't know. And I don't think
he did
playoffs
in the second half more. But
yeah.
First half, when we went up to the top to talk at halftime with people, all of us were like, wow, LeBron's hurt.
Yeah.
Didn't look right. His body language is off. He wasn't doing the thing that he does when he's feeling, he starts like fast pacing, does that like kind of stomp walk when he's walking around. And he's just got like, you can tell it's almost like, it's like, there's just like a happiness to it when he's feeling right. And last night he looked like he just wasn't happy with his body. And like there's a couple times where he had smaller guys on him in the first half. And it was like, oh, you're not even going to try to post him up. So that made me think he didn't have any lift. And second half, I thought he seemed fine.
Yeah.
I just thought he seemed like an older version. So first half, he looked like 2004 Karl Malone.
Well, the first half, by the way, was such a disaster. I think it was like he and AD and Schroeder combined were like 3 of 28 or something. I mean, like that almost is like someone was saying, I was listening to some other pod and it was literally like that game was almost a microcosm of a Frank Vogel playoff series where he just kind of feels it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then by the end, it's like, he made all the adjustments and then they just, you ride LeBron and AD on offense and it's like, okay, 80 at the 5. But in the first half, they look really bad. They look really bad. It was like, and this Warriors team is not great. They're playing a lot of Bazemore, a lot of Juan Toscano Anderson. I was like, this is embarrassing, right?
I know.
These
Mulder,
are not the guys.
We don't know what Mulder's first name is.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's Mulder from the X-Files in there playing. It's like, I don't know what's going on. Who's this guy? Like, that's insane. But
I can't believe you were listening to another pod. Fuck you. I mean, what the hell?
Hey, man.
I thought this was your only pod.
I gotta have my Lakers pods on, man. I'll get you and Russillo talking about the Celtics and the Nets. I mean, I got that.
Did you start getting worried about Utah? Like, really, like at what point did you really start thinking like, holy shit, I'm gonna have to play Utah? This would suck.
You know why? Is because I just think the Phoenix matchup is so favorable. I'm like, they got to play. They're going to play Ayton and Saric. Those are their two guys. Those are their only bigs. You're gonna play those guys against the monstrous front line of the Lakers. Even against those guys, I think like Drummond and Gasol could play because it's like, they're just going to be wrecking balls in there. Against the Nets, too, theoretically, like, I actually think those bigs will play a little bit. And, there was a game, I think, against the Nets in the middle of the season with either no LeBron or no AD or both. And Drummond, like, was getting rebounds. Like, I might be hallucinating, but something like that happened,
Davis against the Suns is just insurmountable, in my opinion, for Phoenix. The other thing is they play pretty slow. They're like a bottom 5 pace team, which is perfect for the Lakers, right? They like to pick their spots. So if it's like a half court versus half court with the size that they have, basically it comes down to can Booker just shred them?
Yeah.
But they have like 4 guys to throw at Booker. And then can Chris Paul just completely destroy the Lakers point guards? I do feel like Caruso at least can contain him a little bit. It's not great for the Suns. I feel bad for them. They fought all year to get the 2 seed, and then they have to get LeBron and AD.
I know the Chris Paul narrative. Like he's almost like wandering the earth, going from to forlorn franchise to forlorn franchise, and then just hitting those brick walls in the playoffs. Man, it's just like he doesn't have the talent. Look, that being said, The Suns are a very good team. It wouldn't be surprising to me for the series to go long and to they have home
what
court
a diplomatic
advantage.
answer by you. Jesus.
But I do think it's a bad matchup, man. I do think it's a bad matchup. Just like the bigs on the Lakers. It's just athletic and huge. There's nothing like talent with size. It's like their two best players are little guards, right? I mean, Booker's okay sized, but yeah, it's the Lakers just too much size.
Golden State, I think they knew if we can win this game, first of all, it makes our season. We beat the Lakers in LA. And then second, we get to play the Suns, who we actually match up. We can go small ball versus semi-small ball, and let's go. Now they have to deal with Utah. I still think they can give Utah a good series, but that's tough to beat 4 times. You would need heroic performances from Steph, which he might be able to pull off.
Yeah, I think if Mitchell's healthy, then Utah wins that series. Just too much firepower. But can we also talk about how Adam Silver last night must have been just exploding with joy? It's like, are you kidding me? The play-in game, the inaugural ever play-in tournament, and it ends with Bron shooting a 35-footer with a bum eye over Steph. Like you can't write that stuff, man. You just can't write that. Like Silver's just so, and now Silver trying to stack the deck probably for LA, Western Conference Finals, Philly, Brooklyn, Eastern Conference Finals.
Get Curry in there.
Yeah, get Curry in there.
Some good refs.
Yeah, well, can Curry get traded to the Lakers halfway through? It's like something. It's like it's falling into place, man. The brackets look good for Silver. I don't know. Maybe these ratings will turn around.
I miss live basketball so much.
I went to a Laker game.
Such a good time.
I went to a Laker game. Shout out to Linda Rambis, hooked me up with the ticket.
Oh,
Linda hooked me with the ticket. So thank you, Linda. And I went to a Knicks game. So I went to Staples and I went to Madison Square Garden, and unbelievable. I hadn't gone to a live sporting event in such a long time. It was great. And also just my girlfriend seeing the difference between a New York crowd and LA crowd. The New York crowd just lustily booing everyone, chanting "your ball" at Cody Zeller. I'm like, New York, man, New York.
The fans are aggro. The Celtic fans were yelling stuff at Westbrook during that playing game. The Laker fans last night, I realized I miss Laker fans the same way you miss like the barking dog that lives next door that you hate, but then when the sound's kind of like, I kind of miss that annoying dog. The Laker fans were super aggro. Chen and I were sitting in the non-vaccinated section, so we were
you had space to move around.
Yeah. We had nobody around us, but it also meant anybody who yelled anything, it really stood out. And Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, was sitting in front of us, and we had a guy a couple rows in front who was like, "Come on, Kuz, take them. These guys suck." And Lacob, like his head swiveled around to stink eye the guy. But the Laker fans is so funny. They're like, "Come on, Kuz, take them."
The other thing is, if you're even moderately close, you can hear the players and the coaches. It's like if you're close to Tibbs or you're close to Vogel, whatever, it's like you could legit hear it. It's because the stadium's
like the
almost
old
empty.
days. Yeah, that's what it used to be like empty. In the 90s.
Yeah.
When I was going to Celtics games before they started blaring the music, like you could hear like a pin drop and everything. Rick Pitino yelled at Antoine Walker and all that stuff. I miss those days.
Fantastic, man. That was so good to be just at a live basketball game again. I'll hopefully be able to make some playoff games. But yeah, unbelievable.
They need to work on the whole getting the fans in and out of there, though.
Yeah, what was your process like? I mean, for us, it was
like 25 minutes.
Really?
Yeah,
oh man, that's that's bad. Like, I was like, also like, can we talk a side note? I read something that was like, it's basically a testament, a metaphor for the entire U.S. pandemic response, that the vaccination card is a little bit too big for your wallet. It's like, why does that not fit in your wallet? Right. I gotta carry this thing around. It's going to get messed up. It's like, it's bigger than a wallet. It's like just bigger. It's like, what are we doing, man? You got to carry this around. You can't laminate it. It's going to get messed up in your pocket. Like, come on, guys. This could have been thought through more. Just think about this for 1 second. Everyone in America is going to need one.
I was surprised by the noise because, like, when LeBron made that crazy three, the section across from us, which was like the vaccinated session, so the guys were packed in, or whoever was sitting there, and they were like jumping up and down, really loud, and so it was almost like a college game where these sounds were coming from different sections, and
it's
the
a different
Warriors
experience.
fans too. It was cool.
Yeah, it's a different experience. You really I don't know. I wouldn't say I like it more, but it's like an eerie, empty-ish arena, but you can hear everybody, and there's like 3,000 total people. It was special. It was special in a way, right? Because when is this ever going to happen again? Hopefully never. But man, really weird to go to. I didn't, and I'm very, very grateful to go to those games because I don't think we'll see this again.
The most shocking thing was the Staples Center's ushers actually being competent and on it for the first time in Staples Center history, where they're walking around like anybody who pulled their mask down a little bit to breathe better. They were like coming over like, hey,
put it back on.
First warning.
They got to be like kindergarten teachers, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the cheerleaders were masked up in the corner, and it was like a little eyes wide shut Stanley Kubrick. It was over the side. I was like, what's going on over there? Is that a key party?
I legit took a video of it because it's like Laker girls. And I'm like, where are they? It's like, where the hell are they? And then
they're over there.
Up in the
rafters.
They're up in the rafters and they each have their own pod. I took a video. It's like, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It's like, they're all separated and masked. I was like, this is bizarre.
It was like Austin Powers when those girls are like dancing up above the nightclub. Yeah. And it was just, the vibe was weird. I enjoyed it though. When LeBron allegedly almost lost his eyeball on
I
the
saw
Draymond
three rims.
thing.
I saw three rims, Bill. I saw three rims. I just aimed for the center one. Look at that guy writing the narrative as it happens.
Defend your boy on this. Defend your boy. Do you really think he saw three rims?
Well, first of all, a couple of hilarious things happened, right? So Draymond fouls him. It's an obvious foul. They do the replay. They go to Steve Javie. He's like, Draymond was vertical. And then you look at the play. Draymond is stretched out like Superman. Yeah, right. He's just going right for his face. Now, did LeBron milk the reaction? I mean, that was incredible. That's an Oscar-worthy performance. I think CJ McCollum like tweeted like best actor or something, but it was
great.
I mean, but he made his eye water or whatever, and then he was like, are we going to see him with an eye patch after the game? Like, I was like, I would love to see him come out with an eye patch. I would love to see. Then he liked the three rims thing. You saw that because it's like after the game, he was like, I was seeing three rims out there, man. Just had to aim for the center one. And then he did the press conference like later. He said the same thing. He thought he had something good, man. Look, man, the guy's a thespian. He's a thespian. He's a movie star. So you get the practice in. But I appreciate it, man. Like, he knows a good story. And you saw when he turned to Steph afterwards, he said, I can't see. You see that? Like right after he shot, right after he made it, he said, I can't see. And so whether he could or not, he was in character.
It was pretty good. I liked it. The man knows his narratives.
It's a good performance.